Welcome to my review of the LEGO Star Wars 2023 Executor Super Star Destroyer. Given set number 75356 with 630 pieces, this one sells for $70 in the United States, and while it doesn't sport the MIDI-SCALE branding, to me it is the spiritual successor to the 2009-2010 MIDI-SCALE sets. Inside the box on this one, you'll find bags numbered 1 through 6, and an instruction manual that has some readings for the Executor Super Star Destroyer, including a final section that talks about how this set came about because of the Nebulon B frigate in 2020. At least the release and availability of this one won't require a 15-minute rant video that causes LEGO to have internal meetings. The finished model has to be one of the best looking LEGO Star Wars display pieces on a budget ever. Something that can be make or break for any LEGO Star Wars display set is the display stand, and on this one it's got a pretty unique shape and size. The large rectangular base provides a lot of balance for this set that definitely needs it. For as long as it is, you have to make sure that it's not going to tip one way or the other, and this base definitely achieves that. And then as the stand builds towards the Super Star Destroyer, it has a bit of a curved effect, which isn't perfectly symmetrical, but from off angles does look pretty dang good in my eyes. As the stand is built per the instructions, it looks like this, but if you look on the front of the box, the stand will look like this, and it has this 40th anniversary return of the Jedi brick, which is a nice brick, but creates a very unbalanced look for the display stand. So I do really appreciate that they give you an official option to switch it out and make it look like a pretty good and balanced stand. Now, while I don't agree that minifigures belong in a set like this, a lot of people did state that because of the design of the stand, where you have the brick on one side and then you just have this grill piece on the other side, that they should have replaced this grill piece with a minifig like a Darth Vader. Not that most people need another Darth Vader, but that could have created a better overall experience for some people and definitely would have added a bit of value for that $70. Speaking of minifigs though, within the build, this set actually has one of the coolest Easter eggs in a LEGO Star Wars set ever. It actually has the meeting between Darth Vader and the bounty hunters represented. And while you can't really access this meeting when the set is finished, it's a really cool thing if you realize what it is during the building process. So the stud pairings represent Darth Vader, Boba Fett, Bosk, Zuckuss, Forlom, Dengar, and IG-88. It just has to be the coolest Easter egg to me in a LEGO Star Wars set ever. But it does make this being a 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi set a bit awkward, given that this is clearly Empire Strikes Back. Back to the Super Star Destroyer, you'll find some micro Imperial Star Destroyers flanking the Super Star Destroyer on these translucent rod pieces. Pretty strong design. They can definitely still fall off, like so, but these are probably the best micro Imperial Star Destroyer designs I've seen, using just about 10 parts to get the job done. But just to show you, these don't have any reinforcement to their attachment, but they also don't really need it. This isn't a playset. The rest of the bottom of the Super Star Destroyer is pretty flat, as you would expect, although you'll find a bit more detail towards the back. I find the engine thrust design to be very good on this set, especially with that translucent orange color. It really pops on the back of the Super Star Destroyer. The top of the Executor is pretty nicely tiled off. I mean, they definitely left a few studs scattered throughout, but for the most part, I think they tiled it off in a way that's going to be satisfying to many people. A lot of times, LEGO will leave studs on models purposefully so that it looks like a LEGO set. Although I don't quite agree with that all of the time, I think that this is a very happy medium and something that gives the model a bit of texture. The one downside to this, perhaps, is that it does look like the front part of the triangle shape is stripped away on the top. So yeah, I definitely do wish that they were able to finish this off with an angled tiling all the way through, because it's definitely something that just kind of pops up and now it's tiled, but at the very front, here's your 20 studs. A bit awkward. The center section of the set is beautifully greebled, and there is a bit of color splattered throughout. You have the translucent blue color that you can just barely see peeking through. It's there, it's just not very prominent at all. You have to have a good eye to catch that light blue color. Now, the front here again is where those minifigure studs were, and you can lift that up to kind of see them, but really you could, if you really want to, pull the whole panel off, and that does give you a good view of the interior of the build, but you'll see a bit more of that light blue color in there. And with that top panel on, it looks like that light blue color is kind of like the hangers on the Super Star Destroyer, at least the shields protecting those hangers. It's there, again, it's just super subtle. But one of my pet peeves on LEGO Star Wars sets can be when they choose to make the interior super colorful so that it's slightly easier to build, even though you're making this for adults. Sometimes that color can peek through the design, and on something like this that's supposed to generally be all gray, it's a big worry, and luckily, looking through the gaps here on the top, it doesn't seem like that color peeks through. The same color is also on this side, just to give you an idea. So it looks like they have closed everything off about as nicely as they could, and you don't get to see any of that orange, green, and yellow through the panels on the Super Star Destroyer. Now, if you were lucky enough to obtain that Nebulon B frigate mentioned earlier, this Super Star Destroyer is a great pairing with it. And certainly if you've got the MIDI-SCALE Star Destroyer and Falcon from the days of old, it's a great pairing with those as well. The main draw for MIDI-SCALE to me and most people is the affordability and space savings, and this Super Star Destroyer does both very well while looking phenomenal as a display piece. If LEGO were to ever make another UCS Super Star Destroyer, not only would it cost 6 or 7 times as much money, it would take up the entirety of the top part of this desk I have here. Instead, the MIDI-SCALE Super Star Destroyer comes in at $70 and takes up a small shelf. The MIDI-SCALE concept should be here to stay for LEGO Star Wars and not a one-off concept like the Nebulon B frigate, and hopefully the Super Star Destroyer is just the beginning of that, and in 2024 and beyond we'll see more like it. What came out in 2009 and 2010 was well ahead of its time. The LEGO Star Wars market was not mature enough, but now it is, and hopefully we'll see more like this in the future. I'm going to give this set a 9.8 out of 10. I mean, this is as good as it gets, man. This is the LEGO Star Wars set people should want in my eyes. I would go out and pick this up if you want a cool Imperial display, something maybe to match with your Death Star Final Duel set, because boy oh boy is it pretty. And if you decide to buy one, make sure you use my affiliate link in the description below. Thank you for choosing to watch my review, and you can watch more 2023 LEGO Star Wars set reviews on the end screen now.